Hey there, welcome to the Agents of Revival podcast. If you're ready to be healed and take full accountability of your life by evolving into your best self, then this is the podcast for you. I am your host, Andrea Griffin Rogers, and I'll share with you winning steps as well as personal tips and anecdotes on how to go from brokenness to wholeness and from scattered pieces to inner peace. So come on in and join me on this healing journey, and let's become whole together. Enjoy it! Hey, what's up, guys? How are you today? I pray all is well. This message stirs your faith, falls on good ground, produces good fruit in your lives. Today, we are talking about grow up or grow out. Child, I said with a whole neck roll and everything. Because it's time. It is time. Listen, it is 2024. And most beginning of New Year's that people make resolutions. And a lot of people want that new me. But part of the new me needs to be get rid of the old you. And getting rid of the old you means there's some challenges that you're going to have to face. You're going to have to face you first. And then you're going to have to shift gears and cut away, remove the areas of your life that's no longer serving purpose. You want to become this new you in this season, in this year. You want things to change in your life, then you got to make the decision to be the change that you want to see. It is not about keep pointing the finger at other people and saying, well, they need to change and they need to do this, they need to do that. Baby, you can do that till you blue in the face, and I promise you, they still won't change. So you got to make a conscious decision to say, you know what? I'm going to worry about my own speck in my eye. Or my own log in my eye, depending on how big your problem is or what you need to change. There's a scripture in the Bible, which is one of our anchor texts for this season, that talks about, why are you worried about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own eye? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help get rid of that speck in your eye when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. If we want to be effective and impactful in anybody's life, we got to deal with our issues first. That could be you are a leader at your home, at your job, with your group of friends, like you the go-to person that always make the plans and whatever. You the go-to person in your family dynamic, the leader there, whatever it is that you're leading in some capacity. You cannot expect to be impactful and effective if you don't deal with you first. I grew up being taught something that I used to always buck against. And I've seen it to be true in today's life. But I always grew up hearing my elders say, especially my mother, say, do what I say, not as I do. And my response, my rebuttal, I know somebody like, what? You would say that? Yeah. Lead by example. Don't tell me to do something and you not want to do it. Don't tell me how I should be and you not doing it yourself. Don't tell me how I shouldn't do something, but you're doing it. Like, lead by example. In this world that we live in, where things are getting crazier and crazier, if we want to see change happen in this world, if we want to see things be better, be different in this world, then it starts with us growing up first. You got to grow up. You got to evolve. And I don't mean grow up in terms of age, because people age every year. And you ever heard somebody say or call somebody an old fool? You can be 60, 70, 80 years old, 40, 50 years old. Don't mean you wise. Doesn't mean that you've matured. Just means you aged. So you grew up in that essence of age, but you didn't grow up mentally. Therefore, you didn't grow up spiritually. You just grew in age. This is the season and time to take control of your life. Hear ye, hear me. It's about taking control of your life. And how do you do that? Is by looking at the reflection in the mirror and working on him and her that you see looking back at you. No more pointing the finger at everybody else and trying to point out what's wrong with them and what needs to be fixed in their life if you're not doing the work. See, I am not here today to point the finger at you. I am here today to help you, because I spent years doing the work. on myself. I spent years, I talk about it all the time on this podcast. I spent years in therapy. I spent years dealing with my problems. I spent years in countless hours of mentoring sessions with my spiritual mentor and with my licensed therapist and counselor, and countless hours listening to my spiritual life coach. I spent years addressing my mess, which is why I'm here to help you. I'm here. I could talk about it now because I've done the work. But we cannot expect people or the environment to change. People will be people and they may never change. You cannot control somebody else. All you can do is control yourself. And how well are you doing that? How well controlled is your life really? I heard somebody say this. They said the reflection of a person's house, room, or car shows, or even their desk at work, shows how their mind is. If you got a bunch of stuff all over your desk, that's because your mind is scattered. So you got a bunch of scattered stuff all over your desk, all over your room. If you have a bunch of stuff, you're a hoarder, that's chances are because there's a lot of stuff that you are trying to hide from your own self, because you're not hiding from somebody else. Everybody can see it. You can't see it. And so that's what that scripture that I quoted earlier means. Deal with the log in your own eye, because you can't even see past the log in your eye, but you can see the speck in somebody else's. No, deal with you. Heal you, boo. Grow you up, boo. Do the work in you first. Because then when you do the work in you, you are at a better chance and you have a better opportunity to help somebody else because they see that you've done the work. They've seen that you've advanced. You don't see somebody going to, let's say, for example, a practical example that everybody understands. You don't see somebody going to, let's say, for example, I'm trying to think of something that every country has. Okay, a fast food restaurant. You don't see somebody who has a dire medical condition run into the pizza place for medical advice. No. Even if the person there may be a medical student, you still not a doctor yet. So you couldn't possibly help me. And if they're not medical student, you definitely can't help me. But if I go to a surgeon or a doctor, they can help me because they've done the work. They studied. They spent years in practice, time, putting in the effort to grow their knowledge and understanding of the human anatomy in order to help you. Somebody that's making your pizza at the restaurant didn't. And so that's not the wisest person to go to. I gave that example because I wanted you to see that you got to be willing to do the work. Because otherwise you'll be trying to help other people in areas that you are not evolved enough to help them in. That you have not grown and developed in your own life to help them in. And another thing that I see people do all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup. I've been there. I have been in a place where I talked about before, I used to be a caregiver for 10 years for my grandmother. And towards the end, I was so depleted. I almost dropped her out of her wheelchair, y'all, because my strength in my body became so weakened that I could no longer lift her in her wheelchair anymore. Now, I had done it for years, but towards the end of her life, I couldn't do it. My body was getting so weak. Why? Because I was pouring from an empty cup. I was neglecting myself for far too long. There will be days where I wouldn't even eat all day, taking care of her and her needs and what she had going on. Didn't even drink anything. I used to live in New York City and my grandmother lived in Philadelphia, which is where part of my family is from. Rather, part of my family lives, and that's not really where they're from. But anyway, and I used to have to drive 2.5 hours. For those that don't know the distance between Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Manhattan or New York, New York, I used to have to drive sometimes 2.5 hours early in the morning to get to her, to take her to her doctor's office and, probably take her grocery shopping and tend to some other things for her. And then literally by the time I'm done in the evening, it might be 10 o'clock at night and I'm driving back home to New York City. So I'm getting in 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes I had to turn around and do the same thing the very next day. It was exhausting. And I realized something had to give. Part of it was me. I had to get to the end of myself to realize I can no longer keep operating this way. This is not only just draining resources financially, but it's draining me, my energy. So what is it in your life that you need to grow up in? What have you outgrown in your life? What are some changes you have to make in your life? Now, I thank God that for her, she passed away. So that was the relief for me. That may not be the relief for you, but there may be something in your life that you can change. You may have to let go of some people, let go of some things in your life because it's no longer serving you purpose or value. It is draining and exhausting you. Why stay stuck in something you don't got to stay stuck in? I talked yesterday about relationships. I've been talking about that for a while now. But people that are in relationships, you in a situationship, a dating ship. I'm not talking about marriages, legal marriages. I'm talking about relationships. You've been dating. Some of y'all been dating for a short time. Some of y'all been dating for a long time. But this person is not for you. And I don't want to hear people say, well, how do you know? You know. If you asking, how do you know when it's not the right person? You know it's not the right person. I mean, bottom line, they're not doing nothing for you, which is why you're asking, I wonder if this really is the right person for me. If you got to ask that question, then chances are it's not the right person for you. But you could ask people around you because they could see things that maybe you can't see because you got rose-colored glasses on. You so in love, or infatuation rather. And so they probably could see things that you can't see to say, yo, this ain't the right relationship for you. You got to end this joint or end this thing. Got a little Philly for y'all real quick. Let me pull it back. But you may need to end that. And the choice is yours. I said this before and I'll say it again. If your life ended today, would you really be happy with the choices and decisions you made? Or do you live with regrets? Like, are there people in your life that you have outgrown? Chances are, yes. Because I know I had, meaning past tense, they've gone out of my life. But I had to realize and make a decision that I am the common denominator here, dragging you along on a journey you don't want to go on. It's like I've planned a trip for my life. I have a destination in mind of where I want to go. I want to go to the forest and the mountains, so to speak, in the mountaintop. You want to go to the beach. Well, we're not going the same way anymore. How can two walk together unless they agree? Or how can two people walk together without agreeing on the direction? So if I'm trying to go to the mountaintop and you trying to just go to the beach, we are not agreeing on a destination. So we can no longer walk together anymore. And so when you realize that you've been around people that are no longer growing up with you, they're not willing to change with you, they're not willing to evolve with you, they're not willing to become their best selves with you, they're not willing to even heal from past traumatic experiences, or they're not even willing to forgive. Let's start there. They won't even be a person to forgive, whether it be forgive you for something you did or what somebody else did. And you are a person that's working on forgiveness. Again, y'all do not agree on a direction. And so you gotta make up your mind to say, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, or let me keep trying to drag you along. Let me keep trying to force you to go to the mountaintop even though you really want to go to the beach. And what's going to happen is you're going to get somebody to the mountaintop that really want to be at the beach, and they're going to be complaining the entire way. They're going to constantly have something to say and point out of what's wrong because they really didn't want to be there. And you don't want that. You want somebody that wants to go on a journey with you. This goes for relationships. This goes for a business partner. This goes for friendships. You want people who want to go on the journey with you because they're going to bring value to you. Not only do they want to go because they want to see the sights, but they also want to go because they're willing to do the work with you. But if they're not willing to do the work with you, then it's you dragging them along. And you become unequally yoked. How can darkness and light coexist? How can you walk with somebody that doesn't want the light? You'll constantly find yourself arguing and complaining. I've been there. I remember, just to give it an example, I remember wanting to go and do something with somebody, and they didn't want to be there. And so I'm dragging them along. I'm just come on, you gonna have a good time. I promise you gonna have a good time. And they got there and still complained, still didn't have a good time. I mean, just still. And it made me feel like, why did I bother? All this money I paid for you to be here, and you don't want to be here. All the effort I put into trying to make you smile, and you don't care to smile. Like you just find something wrong with every little thing. You don't want to be happy. And so I realized I cannot make somebody go where they don't want to go. I can't force you to do what you don't want to do. So I had to make a decision. Do I grow up and grow out of the situation and move on? Or do I keep trying and trying and trying? And so many people try to beat a dead horse. The horse is dead. How long you going to keep beating it? It's not, there's no resuscitation here. It's not waking up. It's not. It's done. Let it be done. I gave you guys an example before of, with friendships. When I stopped being the one calling all the time, texting all the time, trying to hang out with you, trying to see what's up, my phone ain't ring. No notifications saying I got a voicemail, I got a text message, or I got an email, nothing. You want to know why? Because I was the common denominator that was the problem. Not them. And not problem in the bad way. So maybe that's a wrong choice of word. But I was the common denominator that kept trying to drag somebody along on the journey who didn't want to go to the mountaintop. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they won't eventually get to their own mountaintop. Because every beach, when I'm saying every beach, there are some beaches, as I've been to, different places, there are some beaches that's right across from a mountain. It just may be a tropical mountain. But that wasn't the destination I wanted to go to. I was talking about going to like the Swiss Alps or somewhere. That's not what they were trying to go to. And so again, we're not agreeing on the direction here. And so who is it in your life that you are realizing in what I'm saying to you today that you need to outgrow? Y'all have gone on this journey long enough. And now it's time to grow up and out of this situation. Again, even if they've hurt you and you were still trying to hold on, hoping that things would change, forgive and grow up and move on. Because your evolution is about you. See, when I'm saying grow up, I'm saying evolve. It's about you evolving into a new person, becoming your best self. It's not about them. They will go at their own pace if they so choose. One of the richest places in the world is a graveyard. Because many people died never living up to their potential. And so you got a decision to make. Do you keep trying to make something happen that doesn't care to happen? Or do you move on? I think about this biblical story where Abraham and his nephew Lot had accumulated a lot of wealth. They had a lot of success. They had traveled. They had made, gone some certain places, made some changes and whatnot, had some family festivals and whatnot. And then there came a point in time where they could no longer go the same way anymore. They were starting to get on each other's nerves. I mean, the grace left. And so they had a decision to make. You got to choose east or west, basically. Like, either you go east and I'm going to go west, or you go west and I'm going to go east. But we have to grow out of this thing. Because we're no longer growing up together anymore. We have come to the end of the road. And so they made the decision. And Lot went one direction and Abraham went the other. Doesn't mean that Abraham didn't love his nephew. Doesn't mean Lot didn't love his uncle. It just meant that we have come to the end of our road. And so, who in your life do you need to make some changes? If you don't know, if you're not really sure, because I hear some people that's like, well, I kind of need confirmation. I get it. I was that person. I talked about that before. There were certain relationships, even, friendships that I was like, I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to evolve. I knew I needed to grow up. I knew I needed to leave those situations or those relationships alone. And I didn't. And, some of them we just drifted apart. Others, the grace just left and I just kept being irritated. And then others, we just wound up having to pray about it. And so 3-point takeaway and we out of here. Number 1, let God help you remove who is no longer serving purpose or value in your life. How do you do that? You pray about it. Pray to God to know who has to go in your life. And let me add a extra point to that. Pray about it and then do the work. Like, be willing to move on. Be willing to make the change. Because everybody can't go with you. A rocket cannot get to its ultimate altitude if the boosters stay on it. At some point, the boosters must fall off the rocket so that it can reach space. You are that rocket. And there are some people that are around you that were only meant to boost you up to get you off the ground. And they are meant to follow you to a certain altitude, but no more, no further. They must fall off. You have outgrown your use for them in this season. And so I believe, but I'm also giving you a disclaimer, I believe that there are people who probably came to your mind or a person who came to your mind that you need to change. It may even be a job opportunity that you've been working for a while now. And so that you feel that this is your word, that you need to outgrow this business situation. Then take this as your confirmation. But if you still feel like you need more confirmation, okay, God's a generous God. He'll give you wisdom if you ask. And so ask him. And then write the names down that come to your mind so you'll have it on paper. Because you'll probably go back because the enemy is very cunning and making you think, did God really say that? And then you'll start giving yourself a bunch of more excuses as to why you can't make that decision to pull the trigger on that friendship, that relationship, that business deal, whatever. So write it down so that you have it. Because I've had times where I've had to go back and read something that I wrote down and be like, oh, okay, yep, you already told me that, God. Let me not go do that. Let me not pick up that call. Let me not. Because you said don't do that before, even though I just was thinking the thought of like, ooh, that might be a good idea. Or, ooh, maybe I should help that person. Or, ooh, nope, but you had already told me that. So let me keep moving. Let God help you remove who is no longer serving purpose or value in your life. Number 2, be willing to do the necessary work, as I said before. You know where you want to go. You know how you want to get there. It's okay if people don't want to go that journey with you. That means that they have come to the end of their road with you. And so let them loose. Let them go. Thank them for coming this far and keep moving. No hard feelings. No nasty comments and remarks. Don't talk about them like a dirty dog to whoever will listen. We ain't doing that in the season. We growing up, remember? We maturing in this season. We don't have time to badmouth you when we focus on our vision. We focusing on our goal. We focusing on the mountaintop. I don't got time to be talking about you. I'm working on me. I'm bettering me. I'm putting me first today and doing what's healthy for me. And so do the work. And then lastly, focus on your why in the process. Like I said, write it down. Because there's going to come a point in time as you journey on where you're going to want to look back. You're going to remember the good times with whoever that was, forgetting all the bad times. And you're going to want to turn back around or hit them back up. Hey, big head. You're going to want to do that. And you're going to have to remind yourself. You may even, for entrepreneurs out there, it may get hard for you to step out on faith for that business idea that God gave you. And you may want to go back to working at 9 to 5, but you got to remember your why. Why are you doing it? Why are you pursuing it? Remember what happened back there. Remember what you went through back there. Don't think it's going to be different. It's not. If you needed it on this journey up ahead, then you will have it. Whatever you need to continue moving forward is what you have today. Part of it needs to be discarded because it's no longer needed. But what you will absolutely need, you will have. And you move forward with that. And chances are, when you do the necessary work, you remove the people from your life and you focus on your why in the process and stay the course, you will ultimately achieve the goal you want to achieve. You will see your life turn around for the better. And you will be happy that you did not go back. You will be happy that you did not pick up that phone again and call that person or text that person or whatever. You're going to be happy that you kept going forward, not looking back. Because you will see life is so much better here on this mountaintop than it was back there. Keep going. Don't give up. You can do it. And you can make it. Hold on to your why in the process. It's time to grow up or grow out, y'all. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. Cause his face shine upon you. May the Lord of God be gracious to you. Show you his favor and give his shalom. Give his peace. Take care. Love you guys. Bye now.